It's a great day for another weekly Q&A session, and if you're wondering what this is or where this is coming from, it is a similar setup to the weekly YouTube live streams where we field questions not from, of course, the YouTube live, but over here on Discord, which you can join for free and contribute if you so desire in the link in the description below. And all you need to do from there is just find your way over to the Cave video content section and find the most recent weekly Q&A post. Other than that, I should once again let you know that our Black Friday sale is still going on for another couple days. You have until Monday with the code BLACK. That's black in all capitals, just like the color black. Again, in all capitals, it'll award you 20% off of any one of the programs or services in the Teachable School in the link in the description below. And actually, the Quant Prime service is going to have a little bit of a bigger discount, 25% off, which is the biggest discount that we ever, have really done, especially for the lifetime of your account. So it won't just apply for the, for the first payment. It'll actually apply for the lifetime of the subscription, whether it's a monthly, an annual, or or a lifetime, which is obviously just, a lifetime. But anyways, yes. So we've got that. Again, I've been pretty aggressive shilling this one, but it's pretty damn important service to myself because it's changed the way that I do things. I mean, it's massively expedited the creation, testing, and the actual trading portion of strategy creation. Anyways, yes. Okay, cool. So now that we've gotten through that, that's enough shilling for one moment. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over here to YouTube member section, as that is going to be the priority because there's just too many damn questions. So I have to have some way to prioritize this. And we'll start off with Cousin Burley, and we'll get through as many as we can, at least 30 minutes, maybe I go a little bit longer than that as well. All right, Cousin Burley is back. He's asking if you could choose 3 of your proprietary indicators to create a price compression strategy, what would they be and why? Okay, actually a pretty easy answer right here. The most obvious one to me would be, of course, the HPDR pack, because, one, I mean, that's quite literally what it's giving you, information for, and 2, all of them work together. So let me actually bring up the most relevant ones. If I were to choose 3, it would be the HPDRO, the HPDR bands, and then likely the HPDRV. Although this could of course be substituted with the BBWP. That's 100% free, by the way, on the TradingView public library. But what the idea here would be is to wait for both the HPDRO and the HPDRV to be essentially moving in the same direction. What do I mean by that? Well, if we see that volatility is contracting and HPDRO is twisting down from an extreme high right here, like let's say, above 80, of course, it's time frame dependent, of course, as well. Then we're probably going to be looking at a volatility compression phase coming up. Because what is a volatility compression phase? It's essentially a range forming or a consolidation forming after an explosive move. So if you're looking for something like that, I would start off with those, and then I'd use the HPDR bands to kind of govern areas of interest for that, in this case, pullback. So usually, at least the top side of whatever the next level, in this case, for this week, it was the 78.6 level right here, is going to be relevant. In many cases, when you get extremes, you will actually see the median tested at some point. But you can see in this particular example, we're actually not seeing these contract just yet. The HPDRO is still up and above the moving average, as is the HPDRV. So we're still in expansive phase as of right now. But when we start to see those turn down and trend below the moving average, that's going to be a good indication that it's time to be looking for, a range to form. And after a big move to the upside, that's going to imply some sideways and down. And so that's when we start to reference the bands for areas of interest. Hopefully that was helpful, ma'am. All right, cool. Jamal Mina says, I struggle to identify reversal points on higher timeframes. Okay. Could you please look at Ethereum Classic on the weekly and show me which low to prioritize as a key shift in price direction? I find it confusing where there are multiple highs and lows and have trouble distinguishing which ones take priority. Yeah, this is a common thing, and I think I honestly think that this is one of those things where it really comes down to experience. So the most noob-friendly way to do this, not calling you noob or nothing like that, just an easy way to do this is looking at the position of the 21 and 55 exponential moving averages, which I'll throw up right here. That's the yellow and the green respectively. And whenever these have a cross with the lower period trading above the higher period, it's typically an uptrend forming, and vice versa when it crosses to the downside. Does this work perfectly? No, absolutely not, but it will get you in the right direction most of the time. So if you're unsure of kind of what's significant, well, that's the first thing to kind of reference when it comes to trend. But the question is, let me actually just go back to it right here. Yes, the question is, how do you know which low to prioritize? Again, this is where I do think it does take a little bit more of an experienced eye, and you'll just naturally get this over time. I mean, shit, I've been looking at charts like every day for 8 to 10 hours a day for, I mean, close to 15 years, maybe even over 15 years at this point. But you will get it a lot faster than that, I can assure you. Anyways, as far as Ethereum Classic goes, go to the time frame that you're looking at. Okay, so there's a very obvious higher low here to me that is very, very important, and that is, of course, this low right here. Why is that the important one? Well, because it's higher than essentially your macro lows, which are all of the same variety right here, pretty much around the same price. So we don't really look at these as like trending new lows. Now, how do you know which this question is actually kind of inverted, to be honest with you, because what you want to know is where are the pivotal highs in a downtrend and also the pivotal lows in an uptrend, because when price starts to violate those, that's when you actually have a reversal in order, and it's time to be looking for something new to be going on. So the way to do that is to look at which highs, in this case, because it wasn't a downtrend, now it's looking like it's going to reverse, but which highs we're making new lows from on price. So, whoops, got my damn drawing tool out right there. So if we start off, and let me just go to, well, this is fine right here. And let me get rid of this as well. We have an obvious high right here. We have a low right here. Okay. Lower high. So no new high was made from this higher low. Okay. So something already should be kind of turning in your mind that we have a consolidation going on, and during a consolidation, trend can shift. Then you get a slightly higher low right here. Okay, fair enough, followed by a lower high. So we have no indication of an actual trend shift yet, because nothing has changed from this important high right here, which was, of course, your penultimate high, and then this major low right here. However, when price comes down from this high and makes a new low below this low, that's when we want to be marking off this high right here and say, hey, this is a significant one. This is a significant one because new lows, new trending lows came from this high directly. You can see things came significantly down over here. Now we have a lower low and a lower high. Okay, trend has officially reversed. We have a downtrend. Then again, another lower high right here. Okay, so this is a significant one. Why? Because new lows on price are made. And same thing over here, or actually this one's, about the same. So once this starts to happen, again, consolidation is underway. This is an important low right here. Why? Because it is a higher low compared to, your August and September lows of 2023. I think also you might be well served by looking at the monthly time frame in this case, because it's a lot more obvious right here. At least I think, it's going to conglomerate a lot more price action, and so it kind of gets rid of all of the bumps along the road and makes it a little more smooth. So perhaps that will be of use to you as well. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully I got to the crux of the question that you're looking for. And we'll move on now to Martin Sean Hunt. He's looking at WIF on the daily. Okay. Maybe a quick look at the Bitcoin pair if there's time. Sure. All right. Well, let's see first what the US dollar pair is doing, and then maybe the Bitcoin pairing will be relevant or not. WIF, okay, we do see that the LARP line's kind of playing out right here. It did pop above again this 290-ish region, which is significant, and now using that as a base for likely the next higher low in this overall trend. So overall, this to me looks fine. It was a pretty significant pullback from the November highs, but that's to be expected when you retest a prior all-time high. You're going to very likely get a pullback around there. It doesn't necessarily have to be this deep. This big, but of course this is a shitcoin, right? These things are highly volatile, so that can happen. But yeah, I'd be treating this as the next potential for a higher low at about 290, let's say. As long as it's closing dailies above there, that's fine, and very likely does work its way sideways and up from here. Of course, we got the monthly closure coming up a little bit later. I mean, I'm not like super enthusiastic about this, but yeah, probably does have some more upside overall. Now, of course, I should also discuss what would negate what I'm saying, or what would invalidate what I'm saying. Well, very obviously closing below this region right here, 290, and then yes, something else is going on. Expect another downside move. Expect, you know, probably back down to like 230-ish region, maybe even all the way down to $2, and come back to it after that. But for right now, give it a chance. So far, so good, I suppose. Anyways, moving on from there, or I guess we could just very quickly look at the Bitcoin pairing. All right. Yeah, not as interesting of a chart versus Bitcoin, but it is very likely putting in a higher low right here. So I actually do think that it will start to gain versus Bitcoin, you know, from this region. Again, I will be wrong on that, and this is massively bearish if you do come back down below your November lows. At that point, this is continuation of downtrend, but for now, it actually does look like it is reversing into a pretty important uptrend right here. Again, coming off of this potential for a higher low compared to the lows of, again, that early November. So below early November, bad. Until that happens, probably works its way sideways and up from here, man. All right, moving on. We have Cousin Burley again. He is asking thoughts on Tesla being a potential rug pull. I don't know. Let's see. Don't think so. I don't think so, man. The significant area to break, especially on a monthly, was about 318 or 319. Obviously, it closed monthly yesterday. It's well above there. To me, again, you know, you might see a December open up on a bit of a pullback. You know, could come down to like low 300s. That's fine, but ultimately, I'd be looking for this one to retest highs, probably make new highs. But yeah, you know, coming into early December, maybe you see a pullback to open up the month. The rug pull area was specifically, I believe, below about 300 on a closing base, which we did not see. So yeah, still overall fine to me. Again, I would expect this sort of area over here to take a little bit of time to consolidate. But you know, looking over the next few months, yeah, I do think that it retests highs, probably make new highs on top of that as well. Okay, I think that is, yeah, that's it for the YouTube members. Again, this is the priority group right here. You can find a link to that. You can actually find a link to it where? On the video. It's a join button. It's a join button. It should be pretty easy to figure out from there. All right, cool. Let's now get into the Discord. I will say for the questions on Discord, I will cap it to one per person just because some people have been maybe a little bit less than self-aware as to the amount of time that they might be occupying compared to other people. So I think that's a little bit more fair. All right, and I forgot to keep track of time, so I'll start to keep track of it now. Okay, it's about 10:18. I've got some great coffee right here as well. Holy shit, man, this is really, really good. Just wish it didn't come in a plastic bottle because you know what's happening. Every time you drink out of a plastic bottle, that plastic is going into your balls, even if you're a female as well. It's really terrible, actually. But I will deal with the plastic because we need a little bit of extra fuel for this one. All right. Crypto Rect RD says, "Dear Sir Crown, please come to Brisbane and Gold." Actually, Jason Bazzino was showing me places like houses in that region. I could be convinced. I could easily be convinced. The biggest issue really is just is figuring out like immigration visas and all this sort of shit. It's just I'm sure it's doable. I'm sure you know it's not like a huge, it's just, I don't want to fucking have to do another thing. I don't want to have to put another thing on my plate. Anyways, you're looking at DIONE on the weekly. Okay, let's check it out. DIONE. All right. I actually don't think I've ever heard of this thing or seen it before. Let's see. Do I have a prior chart? Okay, so I must have looked at it sometime before. Not super relevant for right now, but you are again on the weekly, and something does stand out about this thing, as you mentioned. It's been around since about 2021. It has consistently made macro higher lows. That is something that most shitcoins cannot say that they've done. In fact, I'm going to write this one down over here, which I didn't bring my damn notes out for today, but this is also a clever way for me to figure out, you know, what is potentially good. But yeah, that is significant. Anyways, going over here to the weekly, this one is putting in again a major low right here. Is it a higher low? No, it's the same low, so it's not like it's not super convincing just yet. But given the state of the market, given the state of what everything is doing, it's kind of hard not to think that most things are going to fall through here to the upside, especially for something that's been strong for a long time. But where would be the official reversal point in which it's exciting times, I suppose? Anywhere above your September highs. Anywhere above your September highs, you have new highs. So you have actually same lows plus new high, but very likely does follow through and at least get a retest up towards this, up towards your April highs here, which is, a very big percentage move. Now, again, I generally think that that's probably going to happen from here, but I will be wrong on this if you do see any sort of a closure below this month's low in November. If you see that, okay, something else is going on, very likely coming down to like 0.3 of a cent, maybe lower than that, towards like 2.5 of a cent. But for here, I expect you're going to get something like this, and then tries an upside move. Yeah, overall, not bad. Actually, in fact, let me see. I'm curious actually, let's go to this chart over here for the rest of them. Okay, cool. Norik says, do you think the coming bear market is going to, it's a little bit early to be planning for that, I think. But of course, after every bull market actually does not follow a bear market. It is a consolidation-ish market, and bear markets can emerge from that, of course. But anyways, do you think the coming bear market is going to be 2+ years with 85% corrections like in the past? No, because one, this is actually not a correct assessment. 85% corrections for Bitcoin have not been happening for the past couple cycles. In fact, every time it's been slightly less percentage-wise from the all-time high to the next cycle low. So I think the last one was about 70%. Let's actually see. Whoops. Let's go over here. Yeah, for Bitcoin, for the corns. Let's see, for this one, from high to low, that's 77. Let's see, what about on a closing basis? Probably a little bit better way of doing things. Let's see, 73%, yeah. So we've seen this march down, from cycle to cycle. Of course, if we go to the more long-running chart, I believe the cycle before that, that was 80%, again, on a wick basis, but on a closing basis, about 75.5%. So it is getting slightly less from cycle to cycle. Again, this one over here, 82%, so a little bit closer to the number that you're reporting, and I think this one over here as well. Let's see, yeah, 81.5% as well. So, it's been reducing a little bit cycle by cycle, which makes sense because a maturing asset is going to naturally attract more and more people over time, and with more and more people, things will just naturally move a little bit slower with a little bit less volatility. Again, that process will take a long time to fully mature, but with each and every passing day, it is getting slightly more mature. Anyways, given the changing supply-demand metrics of Bitcoin, there's far less Bitcoin available on exchanges like the OTC market. Sure, man. I feel like you just want me to say the next bear market won't be that bad. I don't think it'll be as bad as the last one, just like the last one wasn't as bad as the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. But do I think it's going to be significantly different? No, I think the general trend will probably hold. You'll still see like somewhere between a 60 and 70% correction. Maybe instead of like 70% this time, or like last time, it's going to be like 65% or 60%. Yeah, something like that. But cycles do continue. That has been Bitcoin since the dawn of time, and the timing of those cycles has been more consistent than the percent corrections of those cycles. So that's what I'd be saying about that. Anyways, let's move on from there. Jube says, what are your thoughts on having a diversified portfolio of strategies, both in terms of running different kinds, mean reversion, breakout, trading, but also in different markets? Some people swear to diversification on all levels. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that people are like taught works in school, but I don't think it actually works that well in reality, or at least the way that I see things is that if you're not a major money manager, like you're not managing billions of dollars, most likely, you're going to be better served. Okay, maybe not billions, but like hundreds of millions of bucks. You're going to be better served by specializing in a couple strategies, maybe two or three different strategies, rather than like a massive portfolio of like 20 different strategies across different assets. The reason why is because when you have a smaller portfolio, when you have just a smaller amount of equity, you're going to be better served by specialization, because then you can really hammer down on what's it called? You can really hammer down on like what you're doing well that's actually bringing in a lot of money, because any one strategy is going to be at some point better than another strategy. So there is a best strategy to choose, actually. And I think this sort of sentiment is maybe being confused with big money managers who are looking to have, I mean, what are they really looking to? They're really, I mean, of course they're looking to make money, yes, but they're trying to hedge all of their potential downside by diversifying into a bunch of different things. And so they're not actually in full on like money making mode, even though that will be good over time. But because their portfolios get so big, they can't allocate all of that into, you know, a few strategies like you or I can. So that's where you can actually have a little bit of an edge on top of them, or sorry, in comparison to them. So understand, like, you know, who might be saying that and where they're coming from, because I think that will reveal that yes, it is valuable for them, absolutely, but you know, for you and me, probably not, man. Unless you're really like managing a portfolio of like above 100 million in crypto, then yeah, I guess you kind of have to diversify a little bit more. But for me, I run two strategies right now. That's it. Anyways, Gibson says, do you know the LA Beast? I don't. I don't think I do, at least. Let me grab this water over here. Which one is the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin. Oh, I see what you did there. The best one's Bitcoin. What is the deepest pullback scenario that you would still consider bullish? I mean, define a time frame here. Like, obviously, you know, an hourly is going to be different than, say, a monthly. But if we're on a monthly, what would be the biggest pullback that would still consider bullish? Back down to $80,000. I think that's probably the more relevant one that you're probably asking about, but I can't be fully sure without further details. Okay. Manticore says, can you check out SPY monthly? I think we are due for a crash Pazino style based on PMERP above 95 and high BBWP rolling over on high extremes. I'm a moron. Can you check this hypothesis? By the way, do you still play DND? I don't actually play DND, or at least I don't think. Well, actually, maybe I do. I played I've been playing Divinity Original Sin, and I'm actually potentially thinking about getting back into Baldur's Gate. Fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious game. But yeah, anyways, as far as SPY here, I mean, just looking at the chart, like, no, I think this thing has more highs to go. When I look at the monthly BBWP, yeah, it is coming down after extreme. Sure, you know, it almost got to 90 percentile right there, so it's not like super extreme like we would expect on a cycle high, but it did get pretty damn extreme. But I figure what we're going to see here is new highs coming on, declining volatility. In fact, in traditional markets, it's a little bit different than Bitcoin. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But in traditional markets, highs or upside markets are typically coming in on declining volatility. Like, just look at the VIX. It gets crushed and crushed and crushed more and more each and every day, it seems like. But that's coming during upside markets. Why is that, or how could that make sense theoretically? Well, again, understand what BBWP represents, volatility. What does volatility represent? The dispersion of returns. What does the dispersion of returns actually mean? Well, if you have a high dispersion of returns, aka high volatility, there is a massive differential between fluctuations in price. But when markets are generally going up like this, it's boring. It's very uniform. It's a trend, and so volatility usually goes down, and then of course volatility typically goes up, you know, on extreme lows. It's actually a lot more important for extreme lows in traditional markets. In Bitcoin, it can work both ways. I think it's maybe better seen here on the weekly, by the way. And yes, you can still get volatility spikes on moves to the upside, near parabolic highs or near, major highs. But in this case, no, I don't think so. I think that this thing continues upwards and onwards here. Yes, I do think that there's going to be a big market reversal, probably later this year, or sorry, not later this year, but later late in 2026. But I don't think it's wise to be betting on that right now. I mean, that's one massive bullish engulfing dildo to end out this year. I mean, to end out November. Like this wants to go higher. Same thing with monthly RSI as well. So yeah, I'd have to disagree, at least in the short term. Anyways, Smickies says, when backtesting to determine position sizing, 30-minute or hourly, let me just make sure I'm recording. Okay, I'm recording, that's good. 30-minute or hourly, how far back should I go to gauge realistic drawdowns for risk management? Bybit inverse only goes back to November 2018. For a 30-minute or hourly, that's completely fine, man. Completely fine. 30-minute time frame, I want to at least see back to 2020. Hourly time frame, yeah, 2018. It's fine. And especially if you can, test it on the exact chart that you intend to trade, I would prioritize that. If you really want more history, you can go to the index, maybe go back to like 2015, 2016, but I actually don't like back testing, like significantly early data in Bitcoin, especially for timeframes under, especially a daily, but even maybe even up to like a weekly, just because the lower term timeframes we're seeing such erratic gains and losses that I think it kind of throws a lot of the data off. But yeah. All right. But yeah, to answer your question, I think November 2019 2018 completely fine. Even 2020 is completely fine. That's about 4 years. Raw Train says, good day, Zur. Could you elaborate on your political views? Oh God. Look, I will give you my views. I want to say at the outset, I'm no political expert. I'm in no way trying to offend anyone out there. Okay, these are just my views. You are entitled to your views as well. I might be wrong in my views. It's very, very possible. But I suppose, okay, let me actually get on with the question. We're all happy that Kamala lost, of course. Did you know that Kamala actually means terrible in Finnish? But I'm curious to your opinion as a balls. Some days balls, some days not. Specifically about the impact of Trump being elected and how you expect inflation, protectionism, and him being more kind to crypto will affect our market cycle and macro cycle top. I think that there are a lot of things that he's going to do that are going to help crypto specifically, but it is no, it is no secret that tariffs will cause some short-term pain if they go through. But the way that I see it is that Trump is not really using is not really using tariffs to like terrorize other nations. He's using it as a bargaining tool. He actually seems really, really similar to me in that regard, because he can essentially, force other countries to kind of, come in line with the U.S., with using tariffs, as a tool. It's like it's basically game theory. He's playing tit for tat now. And before, the U.S. was not playing tit for tat. Now, I understand both sides of this, to be honest with you, because the U.S. is still, as of now, the world, number one superpower, and U.S. has the world reserve currency. This is all very, very important stuff. So in my opinion, Trump he actually might end up hurting that a little bit, to be honest. But he does present a strong case for many other things. Like I think he's going to end the war in the Ukraine, but again, that's like a whole nother thing. Should I even get into that? There's much better people on YouTube to ask about this kind of shit than me. But the way that I see it is that Trump will be good in some ways, like very, very good. He's going to support Israel. I think he will end up supporting Ukraine, and he will end up supporting NATO. It's just he wants people to pay their own fair share, and he wants people to, he wants to incentivize the other countries to actually come together. But, in terms of Israel, it seems very obvious to me that if you're in the West, okay, and I understand not everyone is in the West on this channel, completely fine. So different perspective here, but I come from America, and I know a lot of people on this channel as well do. And if you're in the West, it makes more sense to support the West, because that is what keeps the U.S. reserve currency as number one, which means that the world order remains the same. And if the world order remains the same, then you can enjoy your relatively high quality of life. Now, of course, there is naturally another side to that. There is, I guess, the East, which is Russia, Iran, and China, and they want to, they obviously want to gain their own status and own position with BRICS and whatnot. to challenge the US. And so on one end, they're doing that with Israel, and on the other end, they're doing that with Ukraine. So it makes sense to me to support both of these countries because, well, if you support Ukraine, you're effectively hindering Russia, so you're massively diminishing them without spilling any US blood. You're only spilling Ukraine blood, which is terrible as well. But of course, if you're a US politician, what makes more sense? Well, of course, you're not going to sacrifice your own fucking people when you can sacrifice other people just by giving them money that you print anyways. And then, of course, Israel, you're fighting against Iran, which is part of that. So, that makes a lot of sense to me. Anyways, I'll get off that topic and move on. I'm going to piss off a lot of people with that. Again, I might be wrong. And maybe I just have a different perspective. Anyways, Mr. Joker says, hello, sir. How long in years or 1,000 hours did it take you to reach a consistent profit of 1% daily? Like, what the fuck? Where do you come up with it? You're not going to make money every day. It's like this is the issue, is that people think, and I'm not saying that like you're dumb or anything like that. It's just this is like one of those gym questions, like how much you bench, bro. It's like it doesn't really matter that much. 1% in a day, it's the wrong question to be asking. I don't make 1% of the day. If I did make 1% of the day every day, I would have billions and billions of dollars. There are days where I lose more than 1% in a day. Holy shit. It's consistency over a period of time. So for me, I like to judge things on a monthly basis. So yeah, and I mean, really the question is, how long did it take you to get consistent? For me, about 2 years. About 2 years and one major blow up. Really fun times too. Anyways, Zaziv says, hello, Zerzi Crown. Yes, that's me. Can you check Flux on the 2-day and weekly to see if there's potential to catch up ratio with Bitcoin? Well, let's see. Flux sounds like a prior cycle shitcoin. Let's see. What is it? It is a prior cycle shitcoin. Has not been that strong, but it is turning around here. Does have a monthly higher low in play. Probably does work its way up towards 115 to 150-ish region. I mean, if it can trade above these March highs, then this thing will go on a massive run towards 3.5, maybe even more. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about that, man. Will it catch up with Bitcoin? I mean, if it's going to ever have any chance, that it would be now, I guess. Actually, just curious from my own knowledge, is this thing actually forming an uptrend versus Bitcoin? No. It will gain versus Bitcoin, but I don't see it ever going into an actual uptrend on a higher term time frame versus Bitcoin. In order for that to happen, you just see this thing close above, again, your March highs, and that's a pretty fucking big move from where it's at right now. Again, this is log scale, so that's a 215% move. Unlikely. But hey, possible, I guess. US dollar pair should go up. All right, let me take some more water right here. Tristram says, hello again, Zer, caveman since 2020. Fuck yeah, man. Could you give one general advice for a trader who is planning to trade bear market for the first time? So far, I've only been trading only during bull runs. Well, first, I would say there is no rules. You don't have to trade a bear market if you don't want. If you feel a lot more comfortable in a bull market and it's just easier because, well, generally it is easier, there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. You can play to your strengths here. But if you wanted to trade a bear market, well, first, I'd say the most important thing is identifying when it actually happens. When does Bitcoin enter into an actual bear market? Weekly downtrends, especially monthly downtrends, but weekly downtrends. Also, when you see the weekly trend actually down, plus the 21 below the 55 exponential moving average, when you see that, high probability that you're in an actual bear market. And at that point, you're going to get away with shorting a lot more than you are longing and trying for a bit of a bounce. You didn't have to be a genius looking at that point right here to just generally be short for the next like year, I guess. And same thing to the upside over here when you reverse. So, identification of that, and from there, again, just trade with the trend, man. Just trade with the trend. When you see whatever time frame that you're looking at line up with a few other ones in terms of trend, you probably have a nice edge in that direction. But of course, that's not a real strategy. That is just general ideas. So yeah. But yeah, my general advice is actually understanding how to confirm a bear market. Again, moving averages cross to the downside plus price action downtrend on the weekly. Anyways, Rect Ops is saying, GM, Mr. Crown, GM, sir, you look at Mara, okay, can you look at Mara? Jesus, I don't know why, but my brain has just not been working recently. Luckily, I'm getting out of Dubai soon, so perhaps that'll help. And you were on a weekly, I think? Maybe, yes, daily and weekly. Okay, let's go to the daily first. Daily, again, retested around this prior high from late February, selling off from that. Again, very, very common. But I would just be on a higher low watch for the sell-off. It could come all the way down to 23 and a quarter, and that still be a higher low. The weekly time frame, however, shows a direction. You do have a nice weekly uptrend right here, and you're already testing around that prior high. So this, by definition, I mean, it doesn't have to be a higher high, but very likely a higher high is incoming, meaning that continuation of trend is more likely, and you're probably looking somewhere around 40s long term. Yeah, monthly, I think it's a lot more obvious here. First, 33.75, probably a nice big pullback from there, then all the way up towards like 50 plus. And then maybe this is even one macro super reversal, but one thing before the other. For now, yeah, likely works its way up there. Maybe a very, very short-term time frame pullback on the daily. All right. Let's see. Yasha says, how to short hedge against longs. You enter in a short. If possible, perp strategy, including entry I'm not doing that for you. Like, give me a strategy and then just figure out this strategy for me. I'm not going to do that for you, man. It's going to take too much time on a video like this, and also like I'm just not going to do that. But yeah, if you're literally asking how to short hedge against longs, well, probably an obvious area or an obvious indication would be to let's say you're trading your longs on the inverse perpetuals, and then you trade your short hedges on the actual futures contracts that have an expiration date. Those will have a premium over spot price action. So, you could wait for price to get to what you consider a major high, and then short the actual futures against your against your long stock or long coin, I guess, and you'll actually collect not just on the potential pullback, assuming that you're right, but also the premium that you sold that futures contract for in comparison to the inverse perpetual, which is basically the spot price. Okay. Asi Barash says, "Morning, sir. What's up, ma'am? Where are you going to park your money once this bull cycle is done?" Yeah, that's a really good question, man. I've been thinking about that a lot recently. Is US dollar going to be a good idea for that? Is real estate going to be a good idea for that? Is stock market going to be a good idea for that? Or is crypto going to be a good idea for that? I'm going to probably end up doing a combination of all of them, because I don't know. It could be that the U.S. dollar loses its status as a world reserve currency. That would obviously be terrible to keep anything in U.S. dollars if that were to happen. Now, does it happen this cycle? Probably not, but it could, so I want to keep an open mind with that. I'd certainly like to keep some Bitcoin, but I do not want to keep everything. I do want to go back into cash for a while, at least for like half a year to a year, and then assess, okay, should I be allocating to either real estate or the major indices in traditional markets, or should I keep it in crypto? I'll end up splitting up, between those, but obviously I'll have to figure out, how much between each one. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now, man. I really don't know just yet. But as far as Bitcoin goes, yeah, I do intend to sell a good amount of it, when I think that this cycle is done, which I could be wrong on as well. Meath Randir, very clever, sir. If you didn't know, that's actually Gandalf's name in Gondor. I saw you checking the potential targets for the coins in their price discovery by Fib levels, you mean Fib extensions. And sometimes you choose a 272 extension as a potential top, but sometimes it's a 234. How do you decide whichever one is the next big one, really? Usually on like an all-time high breakout, you're going to get towards the 2 extension, but not always. From the prior consolidation as like an anchor. Just want to be clear about that. And then from there, just kind of take it one by one. PSU Olive says, can you look at the weekly or daily for HIFI on Binance? Okay. HIFI. All right, this is a new one, I think, as well. Don't think I am familiar with this name. Been around since 2023. It has done okay, but has not really been following in this current rally. But overall, you know, again, it's not the time to be betting on. It's not the time to be betting on like actual downside. So while I do think that this thing moves up, maybe I think that it's a little bit less important than some of the other stronger altcoins. But do I think it moves up towards like, you know, 90 cents, probably a buck plus? Yes, I do. You know, the monthly does have a higher low in here, so I actually should be looking for this one to pop up to maybe like 120 over time. But again, that's going to take time. For over here on the daily, you know, there's going to be ebbs and flows in between there. Maybe in the short term, it does have a bit of a pullback. Do we see any divergence forming yet? No, not necessarily yet. But when it does have a pullback, I mean, it could easily come back down to like 60, 68, 69 cents, maybe even all the way down to 65 cents if it wants. But generally, the direction is up. Weekly remains in all upside posturings for the weekly jewel, the weekly RSI, and volatility expanding right here. I'm looking at this one as generally going to float its way up towards these prior highs from March, April of this past year. All right, Ice PP, what's up, man? Hi, Kron. I remember you mentioning a few times that you think this cycle is going to end by the end of Q1. Can you elaborate on how you came to that conclusion? No, I'm not actually changed with that. I'm preparing a video that I'm going to release on Wednesday or Thursday because we're actually going to be traveling around those days. As to that topic, so it's going to be a longer video, honestly. But yeah, you know, you bring up the potential that the U.S. could establish a Bitcoin reserve. Yeah, definitely possible. Would this destroy all macro models? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, look, I can also be massively fucking wrong about thinking that the cycle is going to end at the end of Q1 or maybe even before the end of Q1 of this coming year. I can be massively fucking wrong in that. I'm not married to these ideas. And you know, there's good reason to think that I'm going to be wrong. One, for the reason that you just mentioned. I mean, it really does seem like things kind of are changing in that regard. Fundamentally, that is a big deal. And then two, well, cycles. The 4-year cycle, for all the criticism that it's gotten, it's been consistent. It's been consistent since the dawn of time for Bitcoin. So, you know, on one hand, I think to myself, okay, I'm a fucking idiot because if it's not broke, do not change it. But there's also a lot of other things that I'm looking at that do suggest we at least see a major high in that time frame. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Again, look out for that video like Wednesday or Thursday, something like that, and you know, will be a big one, and you can take whatever you want from that video, and if it makes sense to you, then all good. If you don't like it, then also all good. Yeah, Ice PP, 1% daily, exactly, man. Yeah, 1% daily. I mean, maybe at like very, very low levels when you're first starting out, like maybe that's possible, I guess. But there's going to be a point in time where that, I mean, even then, no, you're going to have losing days. Like you just can't be consistent. Like any one strategy is going to have losing days. It's just going to happen. Like, look at this over here. It's a good strategy long term, yes. But on any one day or even weeks, for weeks, it can have negative returns, like more than negative 1%. So yeah, just be aware of without me, man. Moali says, OMI weekly price analysis. Okay. OMI. Ecomi. All right. Bad. Very bad. There's got to be a longer chart history than this because I do recognize this name from like a past cycle. So I don't know, maybe Gate.io. Wow, even worse. If I had my nuke button, I would drop it right now, sir. Just the worst chart that we've seen today by far, actually. Can it get a rally? It could get a rally. It could get a rally all the way up to 5,500 or 5,600. It would still be another lower high. And here's the real chart, by the way. Like when you have a chart like this, garbage. Avoid when you're in a bull market, and other things are just going to have significantly more upside. Now, I'm not saying that this thing will not have a nice move to the upside. It very likely will from here. But compared to all the other things that are moving this market, it will not. It will be a loser, as it has been since the dawn of time. I'm not calling you a loser, by the way. Just this chart. This chart is garbage, awful, terrible. You're probably a great person. But yeah. Very bad. Ryan says, hello, sir. In a past Q&A, you mentioned that you only run 2 bots. Curious why that is. Wouldn't more bots reduce risk of changing markets by diversifying? In a sense, not really. No, when you're backtesting, you should be backtesting during multiple different market cycles anyways. And so you really should be accounting for this to begin with. Or is it better to have a couple well-performing strategies, quality over quantity? Yeah, so I have one strategy that has very small drawdowns, but also like not humongous net profits. But that small drawdown allows me to lever up. And so I like playing that, which is more of a trend trading strategy. And then also have a scalping strategy for uptrends. And that's what I employ right now. Yeah. I currently have 1 bot running and doing very well. Thanks again for the amazing program. Awesome. It sounds like you're in Quant Prime. That's cool. But maybe wanting to add more bots with different strategies eventually if it makes sense. Eventually if it makes sense. But look, when you have 1 bot and it's doing very, very well, you're probably going to make more from just doubling down on that. Or allocating more towards that, because to actually find a working strategy is difficult, and a lot of the time you'll come upon fool's gold, and when you start to, if you have one good one and then you start to explore outside of that, the probability of you finding another good one, like right off the bat, is not super high. Yes, of course it can happen. I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible to create another strategy. Of course you can. 100%. But if you have something that's already working, I think it's better to allocate towards that. Of course, there will come a point in time where they're going to get diminishing returns. But if you're on even time frames above 30-minute, like that's going to be at a very, very high equity level, which very few people will get to anyways. Node Your Enemy says, AVAX, and also, sorry, just back on that point, specialization for different portions of the market cycle. That's really what I've come into now. In fact, during the next bear market, I'm probably going to just turn most things off, and I'm not even going to try to. I'm not even going to have a bot to trade it, or maybe I will, but it'll be very, very small dollar, just because, the gains in the good cycles when you have a good strategy are just they're a lot more consistent. They're a lot easier. It's a lot easier on the soul. You don't run these massive risks with getting, squeezed and whatnot, or just not as much as on the downside. So that's what I'd say. All right. Node Your Enemy says, AVAX daily, weekly. Also, Meta Signals is dope as fuck, brah. Yeah, it is pretty cool, man. They do have, again, free signals in the link in the description below in their Discord. We'll look at AVAX for you as well. Okay. And Meta Signals is probably a good thing for like very, very new people, because it'll give you a very spoon-fed way of knowing, what a setup actually even looks like. It's a good place to get started. But maybe, anyways, onto this topic here. Again, I see a monthly high or low right here on AVAX. Do I think it's going to retest these highs from March? Probably yes. Do I think it's going to surpass those highs? Probably yes as well. If there ever was a time, this is the portion of the market cycle over the next few months. Absolutely. Any sort of a trade above your March highs, this thing should probably retest all-time highs or close to all-time highs, maybe even make new highs. Most decent things from 2021 look like this. It's not the strongest of the bunch, but it's certainly not the weakest as well. But yeah, generally up. If we're on a daily here, probably even continuation from here. If you do see a correction, higher lows anywhere above 38 and a half bucks is completely fine. But overall, the direction is up, sir. Take some more of this water here. All right. Banksy Rule says, greetings from San Francisco. Awesome, man. That's where I grew up. Do you think NAKA and AKT will recapture their all-time highs? Let's look at NAKA. Do I think that they will recapture their all-time highs? Oops. Let me go to a better chart for this purpose. No. For this one, let's look at what the actual chart. Yeah, no. I think best case scenario, maybe you see like $5, but that's a far cry away from $8. So I have to say no. Maybe the other one, maybe AKT, just because this was very quick and easy to do. This one has a better chance of doing it. Absolutely, much better chart than the last one. Yeah, I'd say that this one probably does actually. So fair enough. One good, one not as good. Billy Joe Winghead says, can you recommend a strategy from Quant library that I can use to trade Bitcoin altcoin pairs, trading spot with the goal to gain more Bitcoin, medium to longer term timeframes? I mean, you can just search in there, man. You can just search for anyone who's in there, just wants a little bit of a quick insight. You could type in, like, I guess it'd have to be /BTC. There's like a search function here. So, yeah, most people are not going to be posting, including myself, Bitcoin strategies, or sorry, altcoin versus Bitcoin strategy, like ETH BTC, for example. So for that, I'd have to say there actually probably isn't any in the Quant library. Probably also for good reason as well, man. All right. But yeah, if your goal is to gain more Bitcoin, you could also just trade the Bitcoin inverse perps. There's plenty of strategies using that, and there's plenty of higher term time frame strategies like the 12-hour as well. I posted several in there. Even as something as simple as the 5 exponential moving average strategy, that one's actually been doing really, really good here. Let me just bring it up. 5. Let's see. Let's go to this one. Yeah, this one's been trading the last few moves pretty well. Of course, it's not perfect, but been getting the job done. That equity curve continues to move up and to the right. That's what we're interested in. So yeah, actually just entered into a trade relatively recently here. Looks suspect to me. I think this next one's probably going to be a loss, but hey, it is what it is. The algo is what it is. All right. JMW, what's up, man? What are the links on your CT MAC indicator? Do they work for the 5-day and the 24? I mean, like the inputs will be calculated however they work. I mean, it's, yeah, of course they, no offense, but like, of course they work. It's like, what is that question really asking? I guess, like, does it not calculate the 21 EMA, on like a 5-day? Yeah, it'll still do that. It'll do that. Trading people do all that for you. Here are the moving averages that I use: 5 EMA, 21 EMA, and 55 EMA. Yeah, there's other ones that I can use as well. The general gist of moving average strategies kind of aligns with all of them. Moving on from there, we have Rolling. He says, Sir Crown and Queen Elsa, DMTR. Okay, DMTR, daily and weekly. Okay, what the fuck is this? DMTR. What? Demetria. Sounds Russian. Probably up from here, but again, terrible chart long term. Just god awful when you see shit like this. 2021 straight down. Again, here's a real chart. Like, do I think this thing's ever going to retest all-time highs? No. Do I think it's going to move up from here? Yes. I think it's going to move up actually in the short term as well. Probably back up towards 25 cents or so. I think best case scenario in the most bullish of bullish markets, maybe like 60 to 70 cents to the upside. It's a big if. Prince 11 says, can you take a look at other parabolic bull market gold on a higher time frame, weekly, monthly? If you're trading this, how do you set take profits when an asset is in price discovery? I mean, it really depends what time frame you're on, right? If you're on a weekly or a monthly, it's going to be much different than like a 5-minute, of course. But let's bring up gold right here. The general thing that I like to do for, gauging areas of interest to the upside in a macro breakout like this is go to a higher term time frame like the monthly, take the last major consolidation and draw some extensions from there. And you can see, it's traded up towards exactly the 2618. It's selling off from there. So I think this is probably a good place for it to kind of range, maybe sideways and down. And then if it breaks above the 2618, then you probably see, one of these next major ones above 3000 or so. But yeah. That's a problem with blue sky breakout trading. It's very difficult because you don't really have much to be going off of. I also like looking at volatility. So this one has hit extremes or is at extremes on the monthly. Technically, I'd like to see it get a little bit higher than that. If it got all the way to 100, I mean, that would be a lot more confidence inducing for, a major high being put in. But for now, it's going to likely enter into a consolidation right here. And then I'd just be waiting for another volatility explosion and for, weekly, monthly BBWP to get into the 90s and probably a good time to consider taking some off the table. It's not gonna be perfect, but again, very difficult to be perfect in these scenarios. Not that you need to be anyways. Shack Attack says, do you have different strategy for your spot holds versus your trading? I mean, spot, no. Well, yes. I mean, okay, if you say spot, like I think in my mind, just long-term hodl bags that, you know, I intend to not really sell, or at least, you know, maybe I make like a couple trades on those per year. So yeah, it's of course a different strategy. I'm looking at higher term timeframes. My trading is a lot more lower term timeframe strategy oriented. Whereas like, again, my long-term investing, I'm going to be making those decisions on like a weekly and monthly time frame. Actively trading is, you know, 30-minute, 2-hour, 12-hour, daily at most. So of course it's going to be a lot different. Going for much shorter moves rather than the long-term moves. Marco says, hey Crown, thanks for the work you do. Would you please check ideal entry prices? Oh, let me just started off nice. Long-term mindset. No idea what that means to you. Some people, a 15-minute is too long. TECTUM, TET. How bullish do you think the chart is? I don't know. Is it bullish? Let's see. Look, it has a monthly higher low here, probably works its way up. Again, this is the time of the market where most things are just going to get free rides. This thing is no different. But is it the strongest thing that we've seen today? Fuck no. Is it the weakest thing we've all seen? No. But it's not great. How bullish? I'd put it in the middle of the pack, or a little bit below the middle of the pack. Maybe you see this, you know, if this rally does trade above about $15, that'd be significant. If it does, I'd be looking for this thing to work its way up towards like 25, maybe even 30. Above there, who the fuck knows? Yeah. Ideal. Okay, where's the ideal entry? Right here, $6. Look, anywhere around this higher low on the monthly. If you are actually long term, that's what that means to me. I don't know if that's what that means to you though. And that could take a long time to happen, and well, kind of already missed that, I guess. Mookeith K says, how would you recommend backtesting strategies based on reversal candlesticks? As it seems quite arbitrary. You literally just nailed the issue that I have with discretionary type trading. It's arbitrary. I wouldn't backtest it. That's why I prefer objectively defined signals. That's why the Quant Prime service exists. I mean, you know, we want to have such obviously identified entry and exit conditions that a bot can do it, because a bot can't handle nuances like that. So how would I recommend it? I would not recommend it, because I wouldn't do that myself. Can you know, have other people done it? Sure. I don't do it though. In the backtesting phase, all is well. 80 to 90% win rate. Of course, you have hindsight analysis, my friend. But when I implement said strategy, it leaves me lost. Yes, exactly. Because when you have a strategy that is not objectively defined, when you are in the moment, in reality, you will second guess yourself as to whether this is an actual signal or not. And during that time, you will either freeze and take no action, which might be wrong, or you might take action, which also might be wrong because you don't actually know, because again, it is arbitrary. Exactly. So yeah, my advice would be choose things that are more objectively defined. It sounds like that's probably the better do in your case. It's not the same for everyone. You know, some people do like discretionary style trading, but in my opinion, and I think for most people, it is going to lead towards those high stress situations where you're just naturally going to make the wrong decision, because that's what high stress is. Or makes it easier to make the wrong decision. VC says, hi Crown, expectations for XRP this bull run probably makes new highs. I don't know. Let's see. Holy shit, we're almost at an hour here. Yeah. I don't know, probably goes to like $3 or so. Something like that. Same. I guess I could see it maybe around like, I don't know, 4.5 to 5. Things get really, really crazy. But XRP is always a hard one to trust, just because it likes to fail a lot of its rallies. But hey, this one right here, I think you're going to get a pullback very soon. Very soon on a higher term time frame, but probably has at least another push to the upside. Yeah. And then you might get the all-time high breakout. When Moon. I don't know. I think the moons actually are bearish as of tomorrow night. So I think it's actually tomorrow, or maybe it's today. Paragon says, why wouldn't the 20 to 25% pullback you were talking about be happening right now? I don't know. Look at the chart. It could be, I guess. It's possible. But so far, the trend is your friend. Anyways, Joseph says, hello, Crown. In Blofin, have you done KYC? If so, how long did the pending period take? I was pretty fast. You've been waiting 2 weeks? I don't know. I'd message them or something. Also, is there a way to confirm the cashback bonus from your link? Oh, shit. I forgot to mention this. Okay, so first things first. The Blofin cashback link is I will actually include in the link description below on this video as well. It is actually not 10% anymore. It's 15%, and I've quadruple checked with their representative from their team that this applies retroactively to everyone who's ever signed up on this link. And but he did tell me, or let me bring it up right here. I'm pretty sure he told me that there is not a place in your account where you can actually see your cashback percentage level. Yeah, okay, I'm on Telegram right now. Yeah, so there's apparently not even a place that you can see that on your account, but you will get the cashback back in your funding account for your account. So it'll show up there. And again, it's technically not a fee reduction, even though it effectively is, because you basically just get 15% back of your trading fees whenever you make a trade. That's the idea, and it applies both to limit orders and market orders. It's actually still available for everyone as well. Just haven't been showing it recently. Yeah. Okay. TX Sig Epic. Hello from South Florida. I recommend Boca Raton. It does look amazing, man, I will say. Florida does look really, really cool. Floki Daily Weekly. Let's check it out. And then I think we'll do one more after this as well. Actually, we're already over an hour here, so maybe I just end it here. Yeah, this is probably a good one to end on. Actually, not terrible. I was expecting something much worse, but it's actually better than a significant portion of the shitcoins that we've seen today. Here's the weekly. Do I think it's going to retest the highs from here? Probably yes, somewhere around there. Is it going to make new highs from there? Sure. Probably yes. Again, monthly, high or low right here. I would be bullish as long as this thing's above 12,250 or wherever your September/October lows are, or even this month low as well. As long as you're above there, the direction is up, and it actually is acting better than most things. So let me just see areas of interest here to the upside. You know, upon all-time high breakout, like 55,500, whatever the hell number that is, 68,500-ish region, something like that. Yeah, all right. My voice is starting to hurt, and we are well over time now. Been having fun with these, though, I will say. Again, if you want to join on in for next week, there is a link in the description below for Discord. You can join in for free. And then, of course, if you want priority on these, as we can't get to everyone, you can join the members section in YouTube. It's actually this button right here, the join button, and there'll be a weekly Q&A section. And that will, and then I'll post another post here on YouTube. It'll be in the members post section that only members can see. All right, cool. As always, I want to wish everyone the best of the best. It's been an absolute pleasure. Elsa's been absolutely fucking packed with emails recently, so please allow her some time to get back to you. I promise that she will. But yeah, it's just been fucking busy. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.